snacking. Where are my snackers? Where are my grazers? Who are the people that kind of eat a little bit all day long? Well, today I want to talk about how snacking can lead to weight gain. And if you're not happy about gaining weight because you're eating so much, I want to give you some alternatives. I want to tell you about why you might be snacking and what you can do instead. So if you're always feeling a little bit hungry, you've eaten your breakfast or your lunch and you are ready to eat like an hour or two afterwards, the reason might be because your meals aren't balanced. Yeah, you might not be eating the right things at your meals. Ideally, you should be able to eat 2 or 3 meals a day, not need to snack, and then just feel totally fine. Not need to snack. No need. If you are getting all of your nutrients and properly setting up each meal, you should be fine for 4 to 5 hours, sometimes longer. It depends on who you are and your exercise schedule and that sort of thing. But let's talk about the 3 main components of your meals and why you may not be feeling full and satiated afterwards. 3 things. First, let me back up. Let me back up a minute before I go into the 3 things that you're going to want with each meal and why you don't want to snack. If you're a snacker and say, I just love snacking. Snacking's great. I want to snack all day long. It's fun. It gives me a break. Here's what doesn't get a break when you eat all day long. Your digestion. Your digestion never gets a break. But above and beyond that, why it can lead to weight gain is, let me give you a little history or a little science. When you eat food, especially when you eat carbs or a sugar, what happens is it goes into your body, gets converted into glucose. Insulin comes along and puts it into the cell, into your various cells that you can use for energy later. Great, that is the concept of food equals energy, and ideally that works perfectly and everything is wonderful. But here's what happens when we're eating constantly throughout the day. If you're eating constantly throughout the day, your insulin is constantly coming in, trying to usher the food into the cell to use for energy, and eventually it just becomes overloaded, and there's no more room for the additional food that you're coming in. And then the insulin is just floating in your bloodstream, and then it can't get stored in the cells. And then you're not burning what's already in the cells. The fat that's already in your cells that you ate a day ago, a couple meals ago, that's just sitting there not getting burned. And then you have this insulin floating. And you may have heard of insulin resistance, and that's what happens when your system is overloaded. So you want to make sure you're giving your digestion a break and you're giving your belly a break so you can burn that fat that you already have, as opposed to piling on additional food on top of it. Make sense? You want to keep your insulin levels low because you cannot lose weight. You cannot drop any weight when you have insulin floating in your cells like that. You just can't. It's not possible. So you want your insulin levels low, because when your insulin levels are low, you can burn fat for fuel and you can lose some weight. And not only that, you can think better. Your brain clarity is going to be better. And that's what you want, right? You want some good brain clarity, you want energy, and you want to feel good in your body. Okay, so back to the 3 things you want on your plate at every meal so you can feel balanced and not need to snack and eat, every hour throughout the day. Also takes a lot of time and it's money. So the 3 things: fat, fiber, and protein. Let's start with fiber. And yeah, you can call that carbs. Carbs are such a loaded word. Good carbs, bad carbs. It's tough, but here's what carbs do. Carbs spike your insulin. Carbs spike your blood sugar. That whole process I just talked about, when you eat the carb, the insulin comes and tries to usher it. You eat too many carbs and the insulin is just floating, insulin resistant, gain the weight, not feel good in your body, low energy, brain fog. That's why carbs can be tricky. But yes, there are better carbs than others. The carbs you want to avoid are your processed carbs, your sugar, refined grains, flour, white bread, pasta. Now, why those are more difficult for your body to process is because they're stripped of their nutrients and their fiber, stripped of those things. So what happens when you eat it is you get this blood sugar spike. And here's the crazy thing, when you're hungry or hangry or angry or just want like a quick fix, what your body tends to go for are the sugars and the carbs because they give you the quick fix. But unfortunately, they give you the big dip right afterwards. So that's why I like to focus on fiber. Fiber slows your digestion, helps you stay regular, and it also helps you feel full. So that when you're eating fiber, you're after your meal, you're like, oh yeah, I feel full. I'm good. So you just want to make sure you look for the low carb, low starch vegetables. And those are full of great nutrients and vitamins, antioxidants. So these are what you really want to look for. And ladies, especially when you get older, when you're over 40, it's harder to break these things down. Your metabolism slows. So you really want to make sure you're going for the low carb, low starch vegetables. Some of these include like your acorn squash, butternut squash, artichokes, asparagus, beet greens, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all these great fall vegetables that are coming up right now, leafy greens, celery. I've got links to all these recipes that can support this in the attached. So that's your fiber, your low carb, low starch vegetables to keep you feeling full, to keep your digestion level, keep you feeling good. Next up is protein. Ladies, I find so many of my clients do not eat enough protein. It's true. It's great you want to eat vegetables if you want to eat vegetables. Vegetables are fabulous, but you also need protein. Protein is energy. And you know, how much you need depends on who you are, depends on how old you are, how active you are, but it's typically around 30 grams a day, but it's going to depend on a lot of things, and if you're working out and your body composition and all that sort of thing. But protein's so important. It is important for muscle development, for bone health, for blood pressure, boosting metabolism. And these are all things that start to slow, ladies, as we get older. Our metabolism drops. We're at risk for osteoporosis, our bones, all of that. So protein is really essential. Make sure you're eating enough, at least this palm size of your hand. Fill that with protein. If you choose to eat beef, I'm a beef eater. It really works well in my body. It really gives me energy. But you do have to make sure you're eating quality, organic, grass-fed meat. You don't want extra toxins when you're eating your protein because that's going to defeat the purpose. It's going to slow you down. Wild-caught fish is great. And again, you want to watch out for good sourcing. You don't want any extra mercury in your body. Seafood Watch is a good site to check to make sure you're eating sustainably harvested as well as low toxin fish. If you're vegetarian or vegan, your options are beans and eggs, nuts, avocados, quinoa, tofu. Those are all good choices. All right, so that's your that's your fiber, your protein, and now we're getting to fat. Ladies, I hope you are eating fat again because fat is not the enemy. There is good fat and bad fat, but fat is essential to your body. It's essential to making hormones. And yes, you still have some hormones in your body. And it is 70 to 80% of your brain is made of fat. You need to give your brain fat for fuel. If you ever feel like your brain fog, make sure you're eating enough fat. It's really important. Now, the bad fats, the trans fats, the partially hydrogenated fats, those are the fats that lead to inflammation. Oops, sorry about that. I think we're still going here. Okay, sorry, we had a little blip there. We were talking about fat. You're avoiding trans fat, hydrogenated fats. Those lead to inflammation and heart disease. So where these show up, vegetable oils, you really want to avoid those. You want to avoid fast food, cookies, cakes, crackers. Those can all be hidden in, all those fats, bad fats can be hidden in there. So just really make sure to read labels, know what to look for. Your monounsaturated fat, your polyunsaturated fat, those are better. Those help with your heart, with your brain health, your skin, your hair, your immune system. Those are really good. And like fiber, what's great about fat is that it slows your digestion. You don't get that blood sugar spike. And one of the most important things I think about fat, I know it made such a huge difference when I added fat to my meals. I like to use MCT oil. I kind of drizzle that every meal. What I love about it is it makes you feel full. So if you're still feeling really hungry after you eat and you have your protein and your vegetables, make sure you have fat on that plate as well. Fat examples: olive oil, avocados, coconut oil, MCT oil, like I said, nuts and seeds, olives, salmon, eggs. These are all good fat sources, and meat, of course. And there are some vitamins that require fat for your body to absorb. You may have heard of fat-soluble vitamins, and those are vitamins A, D, E, and K. So if you're finding yourself deficient in those, make sure you're eating fat so you can really absorb everything that you're eating. Okay, that is a quick overview of 3 essentials for a healthy plate. It's your fat, your fiber, and your protein. I work in depth with women one-on-one to really hone the right ingredients for your plate, so you can not only fit in your skinny jeans, but feel good, to have energy, to have some brain clarity, to sleep well. Wouldn't that be nice? And if you just don't feel like snacking all day anymore, if you feel like you're eating all the time, making sure you have the right ingredients on your plate will make a huge difference. So if you have any interest in one-on-one coaching, you can go to tastingpage.com for more information. And I also have lots of great recipes to support these perfectly balanced plate at tastingpage.com. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have a great day.